September comes early for the Roos, not because I think we're a genuine chance of making the wild card now, but this is our best chance before we get into a horror August to snatch a win. Welcome to Up North, a North Melbourne fan podcast from north of the Murray, one Roos supporter talking to another, and this is the preview for round 20 this Sunday 3:15 versus St Kilda at Marvel. The difference between St Kilda and North Melbourne on the ladder is 4 places. More importantly, it's about 12%. We both have 8 wins. We've both beaten remarkably similar sides. Neither of us have played everybody yet. The one difference that popped out when I had a quick scan of it is they managed to beat GWS where we fell over, but we snuck home versus the Suns. The real difference is when they've had a vulnerable opponent, they've managed to have some percentage boosters and we haven't. And when I had a quick look at recent St Kilda games and their results, I believe North Melbourne's had a 2-week preview for this matchup. Nakos into Cozzy into Naz. Cameron into Gawn and now Rowan Marshall. These are the main names. There's a few other similars. Jay Cleaver into Wilkie. But what has North learnt? I mean, looking at the ladder and who they've won and lost, the Saints certainly aren't a Melbourne, who are sitting 6th, and they're probably not quite at Collingwood's level either, who are sitting 8th. So what has North learned that we can put into practice this week with the 8 days? I try not to celebrate until I see the video making it official from North Melbourne, but it's certainly great to hear that Foss has recommitted to us. Even better, what I loved is, I'm sure his management talked to Tassie, but Foss was never even willing to sit down and have a discussion with them. So that's loyalty. Forget the money, he'll be well paid wherever he goes. And I take it as a positive that there is a strong core belief at North Melbourne that we're heading in the right direction, that Clarko is building our game plan, Rawlings is building our talent, because we've really only lost Ben Mackay, Horn Francis. We are keeping that key nucleus together. Sheasel, Warlaw, Larkey, and now, of course, Foss for 2 more years past that Tasmanian window. And I've just got to say, boo-hoo, Corn. Tough for Tassie. Can all work something out. And this, it's North Melbourne. Well, tell it walking back to Port Adelaide, mate. This isn't just about retaining a key player. This is another Roo choosing to stay and to build something. The signs are still positive. I have found this season bittersweet. How do we rate North's season? And that's something fellow podcasters have been going with. And I think that gives me a bit of optimism, but it's really kicked me in the guts, is how bad we've been this decade. 8 wins, our best this decade, more than 22, 23, 24 combined. I mean, looking back, that's putrid. And we've managed to break quite a few hoodoos. It was our first Good Friday win over Carlton and our first Good Friday win in a long time. We beat Port Adelaide for the first time in 6 or 7 goes. That long, annoying Essendon drought is gone. And better still, we doubled up and beat them both times. So there's those positives. There's also the frustration at the winnable matches. We should have beaten West Coast twice this year. We should have knocked over one of the New South Wales sides this year. So we're certainly going into quarter 4 still in with a chance in most games. The teams that have towed us up, like Fremantle, well, they put 100 points on Sydney in a half. So, I don't know, the improvement's obvious. Satisfaction isn't automatic, but it's clearly been a better season. How successful, though, is up to debate. And if we can get 1, 2 more wins this year, then the debate's settled. We went Triple M cheeky, putting this one up. A combined 0-48 versus our next 5 opponents. I remember the St Kilda match pretty well that we beat in 2020, because that was at the start of COVID, and that was the weirdest experience, where you could hear everything being said on the field and the thump of the boot, just only having the basic staff and players there. And I think that's the current smallest streak of those 6 wins. So it's not pleasant reading. It does show that August could be quite ugly, but we've already broken at least 3 hoodoos this year. Surely we have one more. I do get curious about the injury list on a Tuesday, and seeing Almac come up on there is disappointing. As I spoke last week, I'm not sure if this is his last year or not. But going back to that Pies match when we lost Tom Blomeyes early, we can't afford to take a risk on a player not being absolutely 100%, particularly if we go tall again. That will really limit our ability to run out games. So I'm sorry, Almac, I'm probably expecting you not to be in the side this week. And then that's an easy swap for Tom Blomeyes coming back in. And I've read a few people this week saying they wouldn't do it. I'd probably like those people to go and check their social media receipts, because the last time Tom Blomeyes wasn't brought back after a spell, people were quite upset, saying never omit him again. So I'd like to see Tom back in there, but we'll see. Will Clarko and co fix the forward line balance this week? I've already stated my case. Whitlock just doesn't look confident enough. Deer in the headlights. It's time for him to go back to the VFL. So there's room for one more to come in. Zach Bench has already missed a week. He's a bit younger, so I think he's less likely to have a re-injury. I'd probably lean towards Constanti coming back in. He had 3 goals last week. He certainly helps our forward line. And any chance we get to stop Naz running clearly out of half back through the middle of the field would be great. But honestly, Bench, Doveston or JK, I think, in place of Whitlock, would make our team better. But 42 must play. And this is where I kind of hinted last week, someone unlucky is going to miss out. I would be amazed if it was the Bull. Wouldn't surprise me if it was Dylan Stevens. He's played a good season, but a bit like 25, his form seems to be ebbing as the season goes on. Bailey Scott might have been told he was in for only 1 week, and that may be why we brought in an experienced player, but he had 18 disposals last week and had a really solid game. But once again, I have watched the VFL highlights. I wish there was a few more of them. Ollie Griffin might turn up and have 4 disposals and no goals. I don't really care. You can't guarantee success when you pick a player. But Ollie Griffin's doing it all. I mean, the goals are the headlines, but he is so strong overhead. He is difficult to tackle. He certainly seeks contact with the opponents. So I'm not gifting games here. I'm looking at bringing in someone who I truly believe will make us better. And that person is Ollie Griffin. And if other clubs can pick mid-season draftees straight away, particularly young ones, why can't we? So I want at least 3 changes this week, and 42 must play. Walking home this afternoon, I just had a random thought. Jack Darling. Like I said last week, it would be unfair if he missed out. And when you look at his stats, when you look at his effort, and I watched him live last week, okay, he's lost the ability to jump, but he's still as strong as ever. He can still provide a contest that he rarely loses, and we desperately need that. Larky is not the strongest, Trembath isn't always there, and really, we probably need Trembath and Darling leading to opposite sides when we come through the middle, so we split the defence. The biggest criticism of Jack Darling is his birth certificate. And I know Clarko in his press conference talking about himself on Monday, Tuesday, was saying, Sean Burgoyne played on 8 one-year contracts. Or JD come over on 2, triggered a third. If he mentally wants to keep playing, why not? Why can't he play till he's 36, 38? I mean, as long as he's mentally there, because physically he's certainly still going. And from everything I hear, he is such a positive role model around the club. So I don't know. How long can Jack Darling last? Hopefully a bit longer. It has been so nice this year watching Gettable and not sweating over whether Foss would be pick 1 or slip to us at pick 2, and what are we going to get for JHF, or who might be our miracle pick at 35 like Paul Curtis. So it's more curiosity. I just have it on in the background while I'm driving around on a Wednesday night picking up the boys. It is disappointing to hear that Jordan Butts is very unlikely to come to us, and Kel Toomey's normally pretty good. But there is one name I was listening for yesterday, Darcy Wilson. If we go back to this tweet a few months ago, Darcy Wilson was put in our jersey. Now, I know since then, quite a number of these trade shows are saying Darcy Wilson is expected to stay at St Kilda. Ben King was expected to stay at the Gold Coast. Until that signature is announced, Darcy Wilson is gettable. Brady, get the checkbook out. Make him a headline offer. Give him $2 million next year, but then lower it down over the remaining years. There's very few clubs who could afford to cough up $2 million next year. Unfortunately, 2 of them are Richmond and Essendon below us, but I'm sure they'd snaffle Darcy Wilson if there was a contract on offer. So this year's first, next year's first, I don't know, a Tom Powell, someone handy. But I'm not going to give up hope on Darcy Wilson until it's announced that he's signed at St Kilda. And I think we have a responsibility to ourselves to make it as tough as possible for St Kilda. So, Brady, can't get Butts, maybe Ballard. Let's have a red hot crack at Darcy. And then if that falls through, we're going to have a top 10 pick. And on that early top 25 list, there's going to be a defender or 2. There's going to be a mid or 2 there. We're going to look after ourselves. It's now just ticked past 6:35, so the team should be in. I know it's an extended squad, but I didn't want to wait. And yes, Luke McDonald is out of North Melbourne's side. What a shame. Blamise, Griffin Logue, please no. Constanti and Ollie Griffin are all potential inclusions. So that's not too bad. I'd have to think about that a bit more, but Whitlock out for Constanti. I'm not sure who would be unlucky to miss out for Ollie Griffin, but nothing here that I wasn't expecting. Oh, this is tough. Winger Dylan Stevens would play his milestone 100th game if he is selected in the Roos final team. Oh, that complicates a bit, but pretty sure he's under contract next year. He'll get his 100th with us. What's happening with St Kilda? Max King and Tom de Koning are back in, but I had heard there's a question mark over de Koning, so it'll be interesting to see what happens at 5:30 tomorrow and then on Sunday. Pretty happy with what they've done there. So Inru reckons this week I'm not going to give the kiss of death to any one player, but I really believe one of our A-graders needs to explode. We can't have a handy 3 goals. We can't have a nice 30 possessions and 1 goal. We need someone to rip this game apart. If it's a star, 25-4. I know that's unlikely, but that's what I think we need to break this game apart. Or someone to have a Jefferson career kind of day and snag an unlikely 5 or 6 goals. Because we're working hard, we're not taking chances. So I'm not sure who it is, but someone needs to have a 6-star performance this week. On a personal note, more likely, can I just settle for one running goal from outside 50? Like, teamwork is nice. But if you're running into 50 anywhere from particularly the centre square, not hard up on the line, back your talent, boys. I would rather a long point we can set up to than a dinky 20, 30 metre pass that the opposition spoils and is in a prime position to run it back down the field. But ideally, just kick the goal. I mean, we've got the talent. And maybe if I could give you one hint, don't look at the goalposts. I'm trying to think of the rugby union player it was. They picked someone in the crowd. So maybe when you're running in with your A-grade talent eyesight, have a look for someone 10 rows back and pass the ball to them. I know it's a bit cheeky, but yeah, we either need a 6-star performance or I'll settle for a running goal around 50. Come on, boys. And as for Roo reckons for the match ahead, both teams have 8 wins. Both teams have beaten and lost to similar sides. They have a better percentage. 2 of the last 3 games have been by single digits. And I'm just not sure we have what it takes at the moment to get over the line in a close one. So it pains me to see, but St Kilda by 7 in this one, which means we'll take away some positives, we'll be confused, and we'll all be really disappointed on Monday. And on another personal note, this Saturday morning I'll be getting out of bed a bit earlier than normal and heading out to Brighton Homes Arena, which is not in Brisbane, it's in our neighbouring city of Ipswich, to back up and watch our VFL boys 2 in a row. Last week, I never looked at where Casey were on the ladder till after we lost to them. Brisbane Lions in the VFL are last or second last, so hopefully I get to see us take the 4 points and hear us sing the song this week, but there might be a few outs because we'll keep 1 or 2 in Melbourne with the game on Sunday. I'm Lyle from up north. Thanks for listening. Can North break one more hoodoo in 2026, or is it going to become 049? Leave a comment below. Thanks for listening, and until next time, up north!